To Mama's Movement, a movement for Mother Earth where we recognize these times of climate and cultural crisis and speak to live guests on current actions dedicated to inspiration and ecological justice for a more sustainable future. These conversations explore the why and how of protecting the last remaining 2% of the ancient forests in British Columbia within Pacheedaht Territory, Fairy Creek. We look to elders, Indigenous wisdom keepers, storytellers, and forest defenders who might just invite the memories of our ecological embodiment to rouse awake. How do we create harmony with the land and our lifestyles, and why should we? How are we leaving the natural world to our children? We're your hosts, Asha and Paula, welcoming you to join us as we walk our way towards the revolution of equity and equality within the circle of life. And now, we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone. We're so grateful to have you all here and to have Chiyokten here with us today. Just start by introducing myself. My name is Asha Isaacson, and I come from traditional Blackfoot territory, also known as Calgary. And I'm currently residing on the unceded Cowichan territory of the Wsaanich speaking people in a beautiful community with my family. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Asha. And my name is Paul Chiyokten, and I originally come from the traditional territory of the Mississauga of the Credit Peoples First Nation, also known as Mississauga, Ontario. I am currently settling on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish Nations. There are actually a few on the territory that I'm on, and two of the main names that I know is the Cowichan Nation and the Wsaanich Nation, and it is also known as Salt Spring Island, BC. And thank you so much for being here, Chiyokten. Would you be willing to give the space and introduce yourself?
Sure. Osiam, Nishilicha Siam, Genuate Quinchquillaquin, Satia Tanget Siam, Nishilicha Chiyokten, Sanatchulate, San Wsaanich, Siam, Iasan Techil Swahela, Quamquam Sali, Sleepath, Osiam, Skalelnach, Hachatungat, Osiam, Iska. I'm Chiyokten from Wsaanich. I have good feelings in my heart. I thank each and every one of you. I'm happy that you're here today. And strength for all the work that's happening, for our tree families and our Mother Earth and all these things that we work to do. I'm just happy to be here.
Aishka, thank you so much. And as we presence into this conversation together, just wanting to name that there will be space for questions at the end, and we look forward to your participation, fellow viewers, then. And just wanting to invite us all to take a few deep breaths together and really land into this moment. And just calling all parts of ourselves here, opening that space of the heart and the inner ears to listen. And I'd love to invite you, Chiyokten, if you'd be willing to open the space for us in creating a sacred space, if you'd be willing to open us with a prayer.
Sure. Hi, Scott. We always begin with prayer and end with prayer. That's our ancient way. And the work that we do is prayerful work. When we show up, it's all about answering prayer that has come to our people, come to our hearts. And I'll go ahead and share a prayer in our language. Iska chachachaus, doquibas, eslo, siam, Leitnung sana stit with a tia tanget, siam, Ine Achenhacha Chiyokten Shei the Hachatanga Shei the Slika OCM the Shei the Skalelnuch Sheinach the Smayas Moxain OCM Genuite Quinchqueloquence Moxain OCM Quumquum Sali Moxain OCM Haiska the eight squachel OCM Haiska the Chalangan Isla Ileatula Imoxain OCM Masi High Masi Star Haiska. I just ask the Creator to hear our prayer on this night and to just put a healing light on our work, the work that we do for our Mother Earth today, and the continuation of the work that our people have done for millennia, and put a strength and a healing light on the work we do for the tree people, salmon people, the deer people, all the non-human people, and strength for our children, all children, and all elders, and good feelings in our hearts, that we will have good feelings in our hearts. Ask the Creator to adopt them, and giving thanks to our ancestors, always including our ancestors to stand with us, to give us strength to be there, and then giving thanks for this day that we're given a new life on this day, another chance on this day. So giving thanks for that. Wsaanich, into that prayer, Wsaanich.
Thank you so much, Chiyokten. I'm deeply humbled to be here with you today, to be speaking with you, and for you to be sharing knowledge with us, for ourselves, Asha and I, but also for all the viewers that are tuning in, and all the viewers that will be tuning in later, because this will be online for people to access after even this live feed. I wondered if you could explain just a little bit of like the territory of the Wsaanich Nation and where that spans.
Sure, we're Saanich people. Colloquially, they call us Saanich, but we are Wsaanich. So it begins with breath, and that breath sound is speaking of our sacred breath, and the sacred breath of our Mother Earth and the Creator, in which we are unseparated with. We've recognized ourselves as unseparated from the sacred breath of life in our Mother Earth for millennia, and that's part of that sound. Saanich is like you're creating a little breath in the beginning, and so our Wsaanich people have been in these territories for time immemorial. In the Saanich Peninsula, you have Lekwungen territory, kind of just about where Ricky's, a little bit north of there, on Highway 1, I guess. and then so just heading north there, just right about just that area is Wsaanich, heading all the way from there, the whole peninsula, the Saanich Peninsula, they call it, Wsaanich Peninsula, and then half the Gulf Islands and half the San Juan Islands are shared territory, and yeah, so that's basically where we've lived in peace for a very, very long time, and we've held those balances with all the natural beings, with all the other people that are non-human, and each other for a very long time, with a lot of different tools that we had in those times. We still have access to these tools. It's just the infrastructure for them doesn't exist anymore, and we need to rebuild those things so that we can return to an era of life, return to an era of respect. That's what I refer to. The eras of our people, just a heartbeat ago, 170 years ago, that we lived in. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Working on getting home. I call it going home. We're going to go home to paradise, because paradise has lived here for tens of thousands of years, and we know how we co-created it. We know that the world had fallen to bone and ash, and with our sacred promises and certain tools, respect to the matriarch, to the life giver, and that voice, that we are able to rebuild paradise after the falling of the world, and in that prophecy, knowing which we're in the middle of. We're in the middle of that prophecy, and it's enacting itself right now. And we have our choice. Humankind will make its choice, and whether we go all the way to bone and ash, or we decide to hold a sacred promise for all of creation, and that way it will feed us and keep us well spiritually, keep us well mentally, keep us well in our body, and that's our choice. So yeah, those are things that we've always understood, and we still understand now. And we're sharing with people. We're doing our best to share with people these wisdoms and knowledges that allowed us to co-create paradise, literally, scientifically, in current science. So, yeah.
Yeah. Science seems to be catching up to the knowledge that you and your people have. I appreciate that. So you just keep getting educated through. They're finally catching up, at least. But it just brings it back to what's been lost in this materialistic realm that you talk about, that I grew up in. That when I hear you speak, I'm like, yeah, we're coming back, and I love this crossroads, and I would like to make my way to paradise, and I would so grateful for you to be here to talk a little bit of those differences, because some of the questions I wanted to get in, Ash and I wanted to talk to you about, was those differences. Like, can you explain to everybody what the natural laws to our viewers, and also the difference between colonial law and Indigenous law? And I think that builds to what going towards what you were speaking about as well, with going towards paradise.
There's a vast difference between the two and where they came from. Colonialism seems to believe that some man-made law called manifest destiny, and these other laws that they wrote to serve their particular group of people could actually produce something good in this world when it's all from up here. And we've seen the effects of that, and the white male patriarchal creation of these laws, and the implementations, and the violence, and the sheer genocide that it has brought to all life. We understand that intimately. Us Indigenous understand it with our bodies. We understand it, that we're almost gone, that 95% of our people are underground right now, at least. And so these laws that they created, they're not helping anyone. They're not even helping themselves. And only if they could listen to the wisdom of our people, and at least have the heart to hear why we can't continue to do what we do. So yeah, our laws are of witnessing things in nature, and they're natural laws. They're laws that of the Creator. They're laws of deep science and observation of Mother Earth, and how things are reciprocal, and how they are created in a peaceful way. How interactions can be respectful and peaceful, and some of the things that we would do, like increasing the food around us, is extremely important. With the laws that we have from our elders, and from the Creator, which I was speaking of, these sacred promises of the falling of the world when respect was no longer given to each other, to people, and then disrespect, planting of seeds of disrespect, and they flourish, and then darkness starts to cover the land, and then people start harming each other and hurting each other, and war breaks out, and before you know it, there's fires, and the world is basically destroyed. That's our prophecy stories in an ultra mega shortcut. But yeah, so we need to contemplate the laws that allowed us to co-create paradise, and one of them is that our interactions with nature, with all things. We don't even really have a generic word for the wild or nature or in the environment. We don't have words for. We don't even have the construct. The construct doesn't exist for try, goodbye, animal. None of it. It doesn't live in our hearts, and we chose not to have them. So the natural world, or all of these beings that are non-human, we held sacred promise for them and gave them, each and every one of them, a sacred promise that we would have a sacred relationship with them. That when we took anything from them, we would first give them intention. We are people of intention. That's one of our first laws, is that the Creator created all beings with intention. So before you interact with any being, you should know your intention, and your Achisura, Shkolakun, not so much your treasure chest, your intellect, your heart, and entire being. You should know your intention, and then you need to speak your intention to these beings before you interact with them. And that's the first law, is that you are communicating, that you're speaking to the Sali and the spirit of these beings before you would take borrow any part of their family. And I would say that with that comes that word of promise that we made, and we made a promise to each and every being, the Wsaanich, the Smaya, the Chiyokten, the oyster, and all the sacred beings. So we made a promise to them that we would always, that each and every one of their families would exist until the end of time, because there is not anything in this world that is of a family. And so when you interact with any part of its family, you have to be very, very respectful, because if you're not, if you serve disrespect, then that entire family now feels that disrespect, and then leaves your world. It just says, I have nothing to give you anymore, because you have zero respect for my family. And that's one of our understandings. And I would say that that's an Indigenous law, that if you want a future, if you desire a future for your children, then you have to start looking at family. You have to start looking at the respect that's given to family. And in colonialism, we've seen nothing but genocide for the trees. When you annihilate 98% of ancient forests, those were all families. Each one of those ancient trees had a child and a grandchild growing at its feet for millennia, for tens of thousands of years. Its DNA was alive around it, and it was part of Mother Earth, a representation of God, if you will, a creator, and representing in a family form. When you kill everything, how are we going to get any respect back from what keeps us alive? Why will it continue to offer us life if we serve nothing but disrespect to those beings that keep us alive, and that's what colonialism needs to learn. The government, corporations, and people who serve them. And so there's a stark difference for sure. And so interacting, giving a gift, giving a word or sacred promise is extremely important. Those are laws and of reciprocity, of giving intention, of offering, speaking to spirit of beings, because the Creator breathed the spirit into each being. And it'd be like grabbing someone's child and interacting with them without speaking to one of the family members in respect and letting them know, having a relationship, having a good relationship with that family. It'd be much like that to us. So those are our laws about interaction, about how we have relations. What is your relationship? What is your relationship to the water? Those are laws. Those are laws that I don't think many of our people have spoken of. But I know that there were laws because people didn't have an ill relationship to these sacred beings here on these lands for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So I know that these are part of our laws. They're part of the actions that were bestowed to us. And the ways that we get these laws, it's in the way that they're implemented and spoken of is totally different too. Like colonialism gives you you have to have a lawyer and be a code talker to even understand them. They make them so complicated that you can't even represent yourself because you don't know their code talk. And the minute you don't speak their code talk, you're in contempt of court and you're in jail. You know, it's crazy. And our laws were given to us in the most natural form, given to us by elders who have been communing with all the beings and being unseparated with every being for millennia, and then them raising children, and not the parent, but the elder. And then that gives you all of the natural laws, all of the ancient wisdom and knowledge to the child from their first breath until they become the teacher who teaches the child again. And so we are elder society people. Our laws were not created by people, by humans. Our laws have been created by what keeps us alive. And our laws have been created by the life force that was given to us, that has literally given us life. By Creator, by Mother Earth, by sacred beings around us. Our laws were given to us that way, in a way that isn't forcing certain constructs upon us. But these constructs are truth. So the truth of our existence, the truth of our place amongst all of the beings, our truth of our human responsibility are inside of these laws. And we're all bound to them. Each and every one of us is bound to these laws. You believe you can step outside of them. You believe you can do what you want in this world. And there's no consequence for your family, for your children, then you have an entire world of things to learn. And that's what colonialism needs to learn. That they are bound to these natural laws. The only reason they haven't seen what we've seen the effects of ecocide, genocide to the trees, genocide to the natural animals, which brings genocide to our human indigenous bodies. Because we are unseparated. We continue, some of us, and until quite recent, we have been unseparated from all of these things, and colonialism has stepped away outside the circle of life, believing it can live outside and do all of its things, not being inside of that circle of life, and then it won't affect them. But the only reason they haven't seen that same effect on their bodies and their own children, like we have, is because they have a cushion of affluence and privilege. And as these climate systems collapse, and as these ecosystems die, the effects of the disrespect and the breaking down of these systems that allow these things to feed us in a good way and not have harm delivered to us, those are going away, and they're going away fast, and it isn't going to be very long before colonialism is going to see the effects of their own children. There's already the U.S. government has allocated millions of dollars for the relocation of indigenous tribes because of climate disaster. They just released that recently. Many of those tribes already have had to move from the sacred lands which we were born from. We were born from these lands, from the waters, the trees, and all of these things that are there, and a lot of our people are having to move. And how do you remain indigenous when you can't access the beings that your language even came from? You know, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of things to consider. And so I really pray that colonialism can start looking at natural law. And I'm so thankful that we're talking about it. And step outside of its arrogance, step outside of its dominance, its greed, control, its racism. And that's not the human being doing that. That's not the human being doing that. We didn't do it. We didn't do that list of things I just gave. It was illegal on these lands. Those are part of our laws. And we managed to culminate true human spirit. Elders raising children for millennia, allowing them to hear the deepest teachings of Mother Earth and the circle of life over and over and over again. 9 months of the year in the Longhouse, and still they were walking embodiments of the teaching of Mother Earth and the circle of life. And they knew exactly their human responsibility. They knew exactly where their place was amongst all of the beings. They knew that intimately. By the time they were an adult, even a child could have known a lot about that. And in settler colonialism, wisdom is a non-subject matter. Non-subject matter. I went to one of the best funded schools in all the United States here. And I happened to live in a town where they funded the school well, and I learned nothing about those things. It's a vacuum. So there's such a vast difference, and I really believe in our natural laws. I really believe in our ancient ways. They connect us to every living being, not just on Earth, but universally. Life, Creator, and respect for Creator, respect for creation. We can't even respect God's creation if you only use the word God. He is it. It's fine. We can't even respect the creations that God even put in front of us. Then what can we respect? Really? I asked that once when we occupied the Olympia State Capitol, second time we occupied it, and our protectors of the Silesian, as they were violently arresting our people who had locked into these structures, tarpies. I asked them as they were in riot gear, like, who do you think created all of this? All of the beauty that our Mother Earth represents? The devil? Is that why you've been wanting to kill it? You killed God on these lands. They told them. You killed God on these lands. And you bring nothing more than darkness over and over and over again. You got a lot of things to consider and think about, you know. But what I was getting at with the human spirit, like those greed, dominance, control, racism, and abuse that we see in colonialism, is not a human. It's just those things. That's a dark spirit. It's like a drug. Greed, dominance, control, racism, abuse. It's like a drug. It has its own power. And if you don't fill a sacred place with the ancient teachings of Mother Earth and the circle life, my elders said, well, they said, for the ancient teachings, the Quinine, the sacred teachings of the circle life and Mother Earth, place that in your hachisa, your treasure chest. You have to work for it. It's hard. It actually takes a lot of work. First, you got to have elders. You have many elders, and you have to sit with them over and over, and you have to listen and listen and listen. It takes a lot of effort. So that's a lot of work. It is. And then, but he said for the opposite of this, when you don't have to do anything with the teachings. Just leave this empty. Leave that a void. And he said everything that's the opposite of this, the life and the Creator, Mother Earth will just move on in, and now they'll be driving the bus. Now, see these politicians. That's not a human spirit. We're no longer governed by true human spirit. We're governed by greed, dominance, control, racism, and abuse. That's our spirit. That's the truth. We never were governed by those things. We were governed by, we managed to culminate true human spirit within our every individual on these lands. Greed was illegal. Yeah. So the thing that we do is somebody demonstrated backwardsness or greedy, or these attributes that were not who we are. They would first honor them and Chiyokten on them, bring them in front of everybody, and multiple families open fires. Longhouse, if you will, we call it Chiyokten, the big house, where we lived 9 months a year. And they would speak of every good thing that person ever did.
Wow.
That would be the first thing they did. Every good, because they're saying, this is really who you are. These things, look at the good things you've done, this is who you are. And then they would speak to you in private, council of elders, matriarchs, and explain why it's unacceptable to do those backwards things. And if that didn't help, then they'd put you on an island for one moon cycle a month, an indigenous month, and then say, oh, we'll check and see if you're breathing. We love you. Hi, Ikwa. See you later. We'll come back and make sure you're okay, but you're going to have to, without the love of your people, you will scratch for food and water for an entire moon cycle. Give you some time to think about who you are and who we are. And they would do that a number of times. And sometimes if they were unable to correct themselves, they would have to move. They would have to go find different communities to live in, or maybe live in nature, which was fierce in this sense. We were very serious about not having greed on these lands, not having backwardsness. And that's almost all we see now as an overall lying movement of colonialism, man. It's like all backwards all the time. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. We got a lot of healing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope that answers a few of your questions.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So incredibly rich. I can just feel my heart flourishing open and receiving the wholeness of the way you're sharing. And yeah, it's the huge differences, like you're saying, this backwardness of colonialism, and that it's not humanness, it's not the human spirit that's in power, that's leading the people anymore. And I'm hearing you in that greed and domination and abuse and control, and that dark hole, that hungry ghost that's wanting to be fed and is so lost. And it's so heartbreaking. I'm finding myself as well just needing to take in the deepest breaths in listening to you to really feel what it is to feel the depth of your sharing and the place in which that lives in me to receive you is like the depths of the back of my heart and solar plexus and requires the real like courage in me to keep listening and feeling and really acknowledge that wisdom that's living in you and the beauty of the natural laws. It's the reminders is pray for myself to remember the natural law and that the beauty of the relationship with all of life. And I loved hearing what you were saying about being in relationship and asking first before taking as that core principle of the natural law. And yeah, just being in that, naming the intention before. And I feel, I can really just see that all over in the way that the sickness of our times is just taking and lost this sense of contact with our great mother. And yeah, I'm curious. So much of what we're holding is this deep love and reverence for the ancient forest. And in our conversation last week with Auntie Rainbow Eyes, she shared a beautiful teaching about keeping the trees at the center of life. And I feel you spoke so beautifully about that. And I also am curious to speak to it more, or to hear from you more about how you hold trees at the center, the tree family, and
it is our tree of life. Hey, the cedar tree is our mother tree, is our tree of life, and we never killed the ancients. We never killed those giants. There's a reason for that. All of these natural laws that we've touched on a few of them, and that explains some of that. It's the understandings too, the truth. The understanding of what is that? What is that place of these ancient trees that have never been destroyed and unmolested? What is that place? And my elders said, we never destroyed the home of the animal people. We never destroyed the home of the animal people. And so if we want to know, one of the key species of our Coast Salish territories, throughout these territories here and beyond, the illegitimate province of British Columbia, of course, is the ancient forests, but also the Wsaanich, the salmon. And the salmon, some people, where's the salmon's home? Some people say, they in the sea, the ocean. Like, no, they just go there to eat and change. They do a biological change there. And then they'll fight their last breath. They'll fight their last breath to go up waterfalls. They'll go up a mountain to get to the roots of an ancient cedar tree, get to the roots of an ancient tree, and the fresh gravels, the clean waters. They'll fight their last breath. And if you destroy their home, you destroy nearly an entire species of sacred beings. And our salmon are down to 2 to 5%, just like our ancient forests.
Wow.
So everything is connected. In raw number, we can, in our Salish Sea, they're down to 2 to 5%. And in our territory, that's a very large region. And so that cedar tree and its symbiosis with the salmon are really the circle of life. They really are the center of all of these things. They are our ancestors. The cedar tree people are our ancestors. We've always said that because we've worked the cedar tree. They call a long life maker. It translates many of our people long life maker cedars because we've worked with its fibers and its sacredness for so long that we understand that it can give us a long life to be in prayer with the cedar tree. And so, that ancestral connection, we call them our ancestors, but we know that they are. And scientifically, they've even discovered the DNA of our human people inside of the ancient cedar trees of our coastal peoples here, Coast Salish peoples and others. Indeed, they are our ancestors. And we worked with them for so long that they found that human DNA mixed in with their DNA and leaned them against them in sacred places for so long and worked with them so much, put our hands on them for so many, thousands and thousands of years. So they really are key and core to our people. We call ourselves cedar tree people, Saanich people, canoe people, potlatch people, and longhouse people. And a lot of those things involve move into cedar. The canoe is carved from the ancient cedar tree, and we didn't kill them. They would wash up on our shore. It was rare, and the wind would knock one down, and the Creator gave us a new snoquet, a new canoe, like that. So and then when we carved that canoe and we got in the body of it, our elders will say, be very careful with that paddle. You don't just be knocking the paddle against the side of the canoe. You have to be very respectful. Watch your words. Watch how you speak. Watch your eloquence, your feelings, your sacred feelings. When you're in that body of that ancestor, it's literally you're in the body of our ancestors. You're literally in the body of your ancestors. You're in that canoe. You have the highest respect while you're in the body of your ancestors. Yeah. So it's very true what Rainbow I said. It's very true. That it's very central to us, to our life. And the ancient forest, has, like they say, every footstep in an ancient forest has about 3,000 miles like of mycelium. It's super fine, like neural web, and it's sequestering carbon at a rate that's unbelievable. And then when you kill it all and you kill it over and over and over, there is no mycelium. It might be a teeniest little bit here and there in a log or something, but it's certainly not like what I just described. And so, it is central to sequestering carbon, holding water. Ancient trees hold water. The bark grows thick, and the fir tree foot thick, and they're so healthy, and the ecosystem so in perfect balance and harmony. They draw loads of water. Trees are standing water. They're basically fireproof. Fire rage through an ancient forest, and it very often it never even reaches the top of the tree, and they continue to live.
Wow.
But in a second or third or fourth growth, it just gets burned up. Because it's all branches, dead branches, and they're not holding water. So ancient forest is necessary. It's necessary for a living planet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. I also am going very slow, Chiyokten, and taking this in. It's really nourishing to hear some things. I've gotten the honor of hearing you speak in circles before, but each time it definitely connects me deeper to the slowness that it takes in order to, I think, cultivate a life of reverence in our fast-paced world. So I really am so deeply appreciative to hear that interconnection of how important and central to life the ancient forests are, the trees, and the connection of the salmon, and the journey of the salmon you told us. It sparks a deep joy in my heart, and also a deep sadness to know how much they're struggling right now from what's being done and what's happening through this colonial system that we're breaking through. I wonder, there's a story you used to tell up at Fairy Creek, and I feel it had such an impact on me. I wondered if you would share it with some of the viewers online. It was when you said we never cut down a tree. We could take just a large chunk of the tree. And I wonder.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah.
It's really impactful to understand reverence and accountability.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that we never killed the ancient ones, and we didn't need to. They would either wash up on our. Imagine the shorelines of our Saanich Sea. There's thousands of miles of shoreline, and it'll all be covered with ancient forest mostly, and after storms and rivers, they fall into rivers, make it to the sea, and the larger rivers, and fall into the sea, and there would be ancient forest logs all over, rolling up on your beach that were fresh and usable. And so if that didn't happen, the wind could blow one down, and you could carve one near the sea or a waterway to hoist it into the water. We didn't need to kill them for news. But if you did need to harvest one, if it wasn't available that way, we would give gratitude to the tree, let it know it's our intention, what our intention is, and speak to its spirit, offer it a gift, and then those words of sacred promise to hold sacred relationship, that their family would exist until the end of time. That has been brought down to very simple words. It would only take part of your family to help my family. And that's what my grandmother taught my mom. And so the sacred promises at the beginning of the time for our humans in these territories, those to hold a sacred relationship got brought into those very simple words. It would only take part of your family to help my family. And that way that family continues in respect, and then offers itself to you in a reciprocity, because we're protectors. The center of indigenousness is a protector, one that holds the sacred promise to protect the families of the Creator. And so with that, then we could go up in ladders. We could notch in at the top, and we could notch in the bottom. And you drive in wedges, and you can take out our roof board planks. They're very ingenious. They're very large. I can't even show you how large it is. The screen's not big enough, but they're very big, and they're very deep, and then they're carved out like these channels, like this. So they're like these channels that then go like that deep, and then have rails coming up, and they would be very, very long. And so these very large planks you could pull out of them, and or the beams, if you needed a beam or post, you could also pull those out too. And yeah, I mean, whatever you needed, you could pull out of that, because the trees were giant. The trees were, the largest one I heard of was 23 feet across. 23 feet across, 60 feet in circumference. That was in what they call Cedro Woolly in the like Snohomish and territories up in there. And so yeah, very ancient old trees. And then after you did that, harvesting, that tree would just continue to grow until it grew right around itself. And we didn't need to kill these trees. And if the winds were to blow in the wintertime and the top of a tree were to snap off, and the tree wouldn't grow anymore. It was just a stalk going up. What we would do is go up and we'd climb to the top and bring stone wedges. We drive these giant stone wedges in different widths for whatever kind of plank widths we wanted. And in the winter storms, the tree would move back and forth, and the wedges work their way down until you could just go and then cut the pieces off later after it was cured and dried. So we were very ingenious about not having to harm trees, not having to kill trees, and to hold that symbiosis with them and respect them and allow their existence. We could still do that today if once we return ancient forests to these lands and stop killing these ecosystems over and over again, we could then return to these practices, and we can harvest that in that way of sustainability. So,
yeah, thank you for sharing all that.
Mm-hmm.
The ancient technology, the wise technology of the symbiosis, and so I really appreciate all of that and sharing that with the viewers and hearing it again. I'm noticing the time a little bit, and I know well, for me, I have little ones that are going to come in a little bit. When they come in, Asha, if they do, just mute me.
Okay.
And I'll help them be quiet a bit, and they will, but they're going to come in all like, and they're going to make beautiful little faces, but especially my 4-year-old, she's going to want to be right front and center. But anyway, I know that they'll be honoring of this call, so they know how important it is to me. But I want to move the conversation. Thank you for sharing all of that, Chiyokten. But we were hoping to talk to you a bit about what's happening in North Saanich right now, where you were working with a group of individuals going up to a piece of property. And what I found was really important, and also I think it would trigger people slightly, because there's all this work and action happening up in industry lands where it's industry and it's bigger than us, and we see that and we work towards it. But this land that you're working on is a different land. It's a private property land. And you're coming in there with your wisdom and Indigenous laws, coming in to speak to that and how to create change within ARL and going to North Saanich Council. So I was hoping, and Asha and I were both hoping, that you would talk a little bit about that, like, how did you find out about the land in the Northern Wsaanich territory? Sorry, I don't say that properly. Wsaanich. Wsaanich, yeah, sorry, thank you. Territory, and how did you all come together? And if you can share some details from that experience.
Sure, yeah. An ally who was the neighbor, Renate, had gotten a hold of a friend of mine, Bobby, and then he informed me, and we began talking about what we can do. And at first, we kind of bought some of the owners because Jack, who was an ex-council person on the municipal North Saanich municipality, elderman, had been talking with this owner, supposed owner, and they had been working at sort of a deal, and the guy was saying, this sounds good, maybe we could turn this land over to a trust and all of these things. And it sounded like he was really wanting to do these things in good faith, and meanwhile he wasn't. So next thing you know, we go up there and check it out, and checking out the things there, and we heard all kinds of different natural animals. There were some bighorn owls and things like that on the land. There was a culturally modified tree there on the property, and all these reasons why it shouldn't be destroyed, besides being it's unceded land, and it's completely going against UNDRIP and our Indigenous title holders' rights to have these ecosystems, to keep start mitigating the genocidal effects of clearing land under the gauze of agriculture. And so anyway, yeah, we uh, began with a movement there, and some of the Saanich matriarchs and elders showed up, and it was a really great meeting. They had brought in, by that time, they brought in a new excavator. That so it was like another couple days later, rather. They brought in a rental excavator, rather, and then I guess Rainbow Eyes and Glenn had talked to Rumble, and he was saying that he would wait till Monday, and that was his words. It was basically very much untruth anyway, and then he just sent in industry that Saturday, and we had somebody there, and I checked the thread and raced down there as soon as I could. And Rumble was there. I talked to him. He seemed very understanding of working to explain, how respect works, how things I spoke to you about how people would be honored, and then they would be spoken to by council elders, and getting through that. And by that time, a chainsaw started, and I said, "Well, excuse me, I got to talk to this guy." And this young kid sparked up a chainsaw. He was ready to kill a very large cedar tree. And there was a lady there who was like hired to be some kind of traffic revision lady, and she put her arms up and tried to stop me and was shoving on me. I was like, I'm sorry, you can't touch me. You do not have the right to touch me at all. And you need to stop. And I started going around her. She finally, and then one of the industry guys tried doing the same thing. I was like, you have no right to touch me. You need to back off. And I get around him, and the guy was ready to start sawing this tree, and I just held my arms out and said, I'm Aboriginal title holder, Indigenous Wsaanich Nation, and these are our unceded, unsurrendered lands. You have no right to do what you're doing right now, and you need to put that saw away. And he was really like super sketchy, kind of scared young kid, and he's like, "You're threatening me." I was like, "How am I threatening you?" I got my arms up like this, and anyway, and he's got the chainsaw that's running, and I'm threatening him. It's crazy. And anyway, he was so nervous, and he finally shut it down. He was just he was freaking out. He'd never experienced that before. And we ended up talking with those two for a little bit, or I did. And then Rumball was calling the police, and they arrived, and the RCMP just walks right by me, straight to Rumball, coming around the excavator, and so I just walked up to talk, like I wanted to talk to the RCMP. Why does he have to talk to this guy? Like he's just some landowner. Thinks he has the right to kill our destroy, continue, and do genocide to our people. And this cop, who was not a young cop at all, he was like, looked at me and said, "Step back." And I was like, "Why?" I'm like, "Why? I'm not doing anything." And he tried talking to him again, just for a second, and he saw I didn't move, and he said, "Get back. That's it. You're under arrest." It was that fast, like that. And he just starts, I didn't, resist. I'm just like, whatever. I was like, "Why? I'm on the blacktop here." And so it was a bogus arrest. And he tried to he tried to give me my rights, and he asked if I understood them, and I said, "I'll tell you what I do understand. That what you're doing is illegal, and I'm a title holder to this land. It's unceded and unsurrendered, and what you're doing is absolutely illegal. This much. This is all that I need to understand." And he asked more. He gave more rights, supposed rights, and then I just said, similar thing, and said, I don't need to acknowledge that I'm standing on these knowings of our people. And yeah, And so then Rainbow Eyes and Glenn showed up, and he shoved them way back, even though the road wasn't closed there. And after a while, he finally like hopped in the car, and we're driving. And he said, "Well, no, there's no charges. Can I drive you somewhere?" I was like, "Yeah, just bring me to Psychum, you know." And so we did. Anyway, went back, and a bit later, yeah, we heard that they were falling, and we went back, and we did decide to lock down and do some bicycle locks, and yeah, my good friend had done that. We locked together and saw 2 trees that were very close, and thought it would be a good spot to do it. And so yeah, when the after all the communication with the industry ended and the RCMP did show up, they didn't even like look at how we were locked down. They just like they were just crazy. They were like super violent. I'd seen a lot of violence up at Fairy Creek. Yeah, these guys didn't even ask a question. They didn't even look to see how we're locked in. They were just started yanking on Bobby as far as they could. And I'm connected to the other end in a bicycle lock, and I just immediately had to grab that thing so it wouldn't break my throat. And Bobby's like, he could barely speak, like, you're gonna kill me. He was truly scared for his life. That's all he could say is, "You're gonna kill me." And he could barely say that. They were just like just reefing on him as hard as they could. And I couldn't talk because I was like throttling, holding my that bike lock. And then so that guy finally stops, and the same cop who arrested me earlier illegally comes around. He's just, he just starts like trying to shove me through the tree, trying to like twist my body sideways, and my neck's in this thing. It doesn't turn, and he's turning my whole body sideways and trying to shove me. I said, he said, get through those trees. I was like, there's no way. Like, I'm not fitting through those trees. And then he just started like shoving, and he kneed me in the balls and the groin. And I said, like, don't kick me in the balls. I told him, because it was like, it's bullshit, and he's just like super violent, like super like crazed, insane style. And these guys didn't even say anything. They didn't even look at how we're locked down. They were just like completely mad and like adolescent. Like, yeah, I mean, what the heck?
Yeah.
So finally he stops, and like he tires out, and then they arrest the young woman who is videoing Bobby's phone. And then Bobby and I are like, I was like, should we unlock? I'm like, yeah, sure. These guys are insane. Like, they might just kill us. And we're thinking both. And because the minute everybody's gone, they already did that, and they were on camera. Imagine with nobody around.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so we're just like, yeah. Okay. And then, yeah, Bobby took off, I took off, and yeah, basically, at that point, I tried to find the key that I tossed. I thought about 1 second to find it. Didn't see it, like just ran. And by the time they saw Bobby, and then they saw me, and they tried to like grab me almost. And I just kept going, and they wouldn't chase Bobby, they wouldn't chase me. Yeah, it was totally like, for what reason? Why do they want to arrest me and not a white person, on our hands? It's crazy. But yeah, anyway, Yeah, it was very traumatic and violent. Yeah, very violent. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's our right to protect our lands. Um, in our treaties, we only sign them for peace. We proclaim that to both these so-called governments, so-called BC, so-called Canada, that we never ceded anything. We never gave up any of our rights to our lands. We never surrendered it. It was only for peace because we were warring with them to save our ancient forests. We warred with the Douglas Party to save our. They were wholesale destroying our ancient forests, and we understood then, and we do now. My elders said, "You know why we'd give our lives to save our ancient forest? Because we understood then, and we do now. If they destroy that, they destroy our ability to live as the Creator intends us to live as human beings, and each and every one of us needs to know that. And that's our truth. Creator intends us to live in a certain way, not as like slaves to white men. You know, it's insane. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Yeah, I mean, I just kept going. I had like two bicycle locks stuck to my neck, and I just kept booking on through the woods. I was determined for them to not find me at all. So I didn't want to like have any more of the violence served on me. So yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
It's disgusting to hear the negligence in those cops and what roles they think they have to come in to violently attack you both without even assessing. I'm so grateful you undid it because I can't even fathom, because I can see the racism, and I saw the racism up at Fairy Creek, where Indigenous and BIPOC were definitely segregated in their own way. Many of us did have some violence. I know I did. And one thing I learned from the violence I experienced a bit was they have no sense of stop, and they could kill people. They severely hurt people. They let their anger go, and they let their power idea go, and they do horrible things to people to, again, for unjust causes. I find, again, to say this is the way it is, this colonial law, was where I hear you coming back and coming to this land and speaking loudly. And what struck me the most, a lot of things strike me. All the actions you do strike me as a beautiful act of earth protection on this earth. And I'm so grateful for your voice and all the ways that you gather with the people and lead the people. So thankful for that. And what I found this action being, again, like different from industrial, is like you are teaching on private property ownership. Again, what does it mean to come back to the true ownership of the land and listening to what the land needs us to do for our survival. And I'm so grateful that action is taken, because it's the first action I've heard of that kind to be happening. Go to private property and go to say, I'm going to go educate you. I'm going to bring some wisdom for you to learn. Please listen now. It's time to listen. And I know you took further steps again, like you went to the North Saanich Council.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, we did. We showed up a number of days later, and I decided that we that was decided to do some ceremony even before all that in that first circle with the matriarchs and all that. That we should go there and do ceremony, and but it was even more appropriate at that time, to do that. And so I thought we should get boughs of the trees that were unceremonially and then without gratitude, without intention, without reciprocity, without a sacred promise to hold a sacred relationship, killed by this supposed landowner, that we would give these hands of the cedar tree to these council people and the mayor. and in a ceremonious way, and that we would give them blankets to wrap them in the love of our people. That's our way. We use blankets to wrap people. I wish that we had more time. We would have sang a song and placed the blanket on each and everybody.
Wow.
It symbolizes that we wrap you in the love of our people, and when we give blankets, and so yeah, we gave the words of a lot of our understandings and how we've lived here, and why they need to remove these antiquated and genocidal agricultural laws that simply say you can check agriculture and continue your genocide against our people, and have no EIS, no permit, nothing. Just check that you're going to grow things and colonize the land, and everything is good, So we had positive results. They said they unanimously voted to reach out to BC agriculture and see if they could get that bylaw removed from this territory. So that's good.
Yes.
The results will be, but at least it was a positive outcome. They received it very well, and we shared word with them briefly afterwards, and yeah, I think they understood the heart of our people a lot, and they appreciated the gestures, and my grandmother Osa shared also, and so did Rainbow Eyes, and those were all very well received as well from our matriarch. So yes, it was very good. Yeah. There was one just yesterday, but I couldn't make it, and I do not know if we'd heard the RCMP was supposed to be there, but really, I mean, they're an unaccountable entity that is accountable to nobody, and so to go to a city hall meeting expecting anything to come, changes to come to the RCMP is like a hard sell, I think, or it just seems like it's not going to bear fruit. But I'm glad a few people went anyway, and possibly shared. I don't know what happened there. We haven't heard back yet. But yeah, it was good work, and yeah, Rainbow Eyes described the assault. I didn't, and I just wanted to do the ceremony, and offer them something so that they can work with our people and make better decisions for their own children and our children and our First Peoples, that their genocide could be mitigated, and we could return to an era of respect, an era of life together. Because we have never worked with these colonial governments much, not much, very, very few, like a few representatives here and there. But what we need is that one of our elders in one of our matriarchs would be, present at every decision-making point. That's my prayer. That first step should be that if an Indigenous-hearted traditional elder, not just any elder, but in matriarch, could be present and give recommendation of why these decisions need to be in a certain direction, and the consequence if we don't, from a traditional stance, they could begin to understand our ancient ways and our natural laws. And I believe that's what we need. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really moved by the way that you brought ceremony into the council, into that realm where it's like this mind matrix place. And I feel, so moved and touched by the way that healed quality of respect in you lives in such a way that you can experience the violence and the genocide and hold that and have it integrated in you to be able to act in such an honorable and noble way, right into the core of this place of decision making. Like really wanting to uplift that, the beauty of bringing ceremony in like that, and the medicine that is in, and it really uplifts my heart and the sense of faith in what's moving, and the possibility that is that you were all received so well, and just the nobility that is to blanket them with your love, as you said. That's like, that moves me to tears. It is so incredible to hear that that's the actions that were taken, and the honor that you give to the matriarchs and Grandma Rosa at your side there, and just really holding her and her holding that space as an elder. And I just really want to uplift those actions, and and I wonder if also I'd like to put on the screen here as another action that any of the viewers are interested in taking to continue the ripples of showing support to the actions here. You can call the District of the North Saanich Council office and continue speaking. And I think, ultimately, if we can all band our voices together, that's a way that we can really invoke change. So, inviting you all to call and speaking in a way of respect and speaking up for the trees and the wisdom that you're receiving here and the wisdom that already lives within you.
And the wisdom that your ancestors have bestowed you with, and the Creator and Mother Earth, because of all of our ancestors hold wisdom and knowledge for us, and we go back far enough. All of our ancestors are indigenous to Mother Earth, right? So we're all indigenous to Mother Earth from somewhere and some point in time. And it's our job to get home, to return to that, to see the world through indigenous eyes, to experience the world through indigenous heart, to re-indigenize ourselves so that we can re-indigenize this world and bring this world into peace, balance, and harmony once again. A holistic way of restoring this world is to holistically heal yourself and then holistically heal this world. We can't heal this world in a way of that would be harmful to our people. We have to heal this world that would be in step with our First Peoples, and in the inclusion of our wisdoms and knowledges and the feelings that you get from your ancestors for the right thing to do, and if we feed them, because we never left our ancestors, we never abandoned them, and we still do ceremony speaking their name, and they join us, and we are unseparated from our ancestors too. So we can rekindle those connections by giving some food before noon, with speaking their name. Just thank the ancestors, even the ones in the villages that live close to Mother Earth, and listen to the matriarchs, and those ones that were there that way, and even the ones that are under your feet. All the ancestors of our people will be happy to receive that food and to be given thanks to. And then those ancestors will sit on your shoulder and speak into your ear and give you medicine, to give you knowing and understanding of what we should be doing today, so that we can help this world in a really very holistic and ancient way in Indigenous. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd like to share as well the other movement that you're a part of with the Protectors of the Salish Sea. As a resource here for others to get involved as well. And yeah, we're beginning to get to the end of the time we have today. So I wonder if you'd like to share a bit about the movement.
Oh yeah. Yeah, after Standing Rock, I went and stood with Standing Rock Sioux, built 48 tarpies, invented a structure that they dubbed a tarpie in a term of endearment. And we gifted them 48 of these structures that you could ride out a blizzard in your underwear. No joke. And with these super heaters that we also gifted, wood stoves. So to date, we've built over 90 of these structures and gifted them out to basically stop fossil fuel and the abuses of colonialism and save, ancient forest, things like that. We've occupied the Olympia State Capitol 3 times to demand climate declaration of climate emergency, things like that, to stop the fish farms. We did get them kicked out. There has been regulations made for our salmon and orcas, and yeah, we did do a prayer walk. We've done 4 prayer walks for Salish Sea, and the second one, the first one that we did was Tukatai. We were going to Florida here on the 12th, rather than the ceremony on the 13th. Yeah, we walked from Seattle to Tacoma with her in our heart and proclaiming we'd return her home here to her Salish Sea because her mom's still there. And so it looks like that's actually going to happen. Lummi tribe got on board, a bunch of other nations and people have gotten on board, and we were kind of the first ones of indigenous group, indigenous-led group to get involved and bring her home. And since a lot of other indigenous have been working on it also. And so yeah, we're really excited about that. Yeah, definitely was up at Fairy Creek, Line 3, a whole bunch of the places in Florida, the Sable Trail, and Leilu Island, gifted them a few tarpies and stood with them. Was at Thacker Pass also, with a contingent of our indigenous from Protectors of the Salish Sea. So yeah, we continue to do things that just our goal is to return wellness to our lands and basically end the insanity of colonialism. It's kind of it's not a big thing that we're looking to do or anything. But it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
One step at a time. One step at a time.
Yeah.
All these actions amplify and keep amplifying together, and they keep growing and they keep making their pathways. Thank you so much, Chiyokten.
Yeah. Thank you both. Yeah, appreciate it so much, and
Thank you.
I look forward to next time that we can all stand together and be out there with the trees, be out there with the wisdom keepers and Bill and Osa and these beautiful, heart-loving warriors of our people, and all the allies that have stood with us and have put their bodies on the line and sacrificed, given something up to help their own futures and the future of Mother Earth and all the sacred beings. So many good people. Really, so many good people. You just fall in love with them all. And it's really hard to leave them. It's the truth. It really is. It's the hardest thing in the world to lead them. Really respect them. Much. So just showing up. And I often would tell them, when you show up for Mother Earth, you need to know that you're showing up for our first peoples. That's the truth. Whether you know it or not, when you show up for anything to do with creating a healthy Mother Earth, you're showing up and you're standing with our people, because without these ecosystems, without these things, our indigenousness is in peril. And the truth is that all of our lives are without them. And immediately, our Indigenous people require access to the things that we've always had, to hold on to the deep aspects of our Indigenousness. So when you fight for Mother Earth, you're fighting for our people. That's what I tell people. So keep on prayerfully standing up. And like one of our elders said, stand together like the trees. And lift each other up. Stand together like the trees. The sign language is of gratitude, but it also says lift each other up. Lift each other up. Lift each other up. So that's one of our grandmothers had that old teaching. Stand together like the trees and lift each other up. So that's our job. The each other is not just humans. It's every living other people that are non-human, the water, the ancient forests, and the natural beings, natural animals, if you will, salmon, deer, all of it. That's the other also. Lift each other up. Yeah. So true. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Aisha. Thank you.
CM.
CM.
Thank each and everybody.
Yeah.
You all. Say hi, Ikwahela, to see you all again. Okay.
A beautiful way to close.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Okay. We'll see you guys.
I wonder, is it okay to ask to do a prayer to say
we can close.
bye?
Yeah, could I do a flute song?
Oh yeah, please. Yeah, it felt like it's all been prayer. So
Okay,
I wanted to say one thing to the viewers, because we did say that there would be time for questions. It doesn't turn out there is time today. I hope you enjoyed the talk, and I just again want to send the floor back to you, Chiyokten.
Yeah, let's just close in a water prayer. Songs about water and the sacredness of it and the healing aspect of it. The same water those trees hold, same water that we hold, and all the estuaries hold that allow us to be all these things. Let's go.
thank you.
Siam, Iska. Thank you. Thank you both, Paula and Ashley, for just having the heart to do this work and have your ancestors be with you and responding to that call. I believe the Creator and our ancestors have chosen us to do the things that we do, and so even if you feel alone, remember your ancestors are standing with you. Remember the Creator chose you for the things that you're doing to stand up. So we're all unified in this way. And when we stand together, even if we can't see our fellow warriors, we're standing together in that way. And as we move forward, we can become one human family, unified and unbroken, and with all the colors on our skins and languages on our tongues and the cultures living in our sacred places, all the ways of our people. But we can be unified as a human family to bring wellness to this world, bring wellness for the children, bring wellness to the salmon and ancient forests and the water once again. We can do these things together, right? We're not separated from each other. Always remember that.
Thank you, Chiyokten.
Yeah, this conversation has been so rich. I'm feeling the fullness of my heart in receiving you and the beauty of the spirit within all of life, that you have helped me remember that spiritual aspect that is the natural way, it's the law, it's the central place of that spirit of interconnectedness with everything. And thank you for all of your efforts in holding continual protection of what is sacred. And may this amplify to have many supporters, many continued people wanting to be of service to these calls as well. And please reach out to any of those links we've given, as well as to Mama's movement, and we can continue helping the weaving. And I'm feeling so fed by this, so thank you. And,
thank each and everybody out there. Wsaanich, keep up the good work, and we'll bring wellness forward together, unified. Wsaanich. God. All right.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presence here with us. We invite you to join our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram channels for more of our videos, interviews, resources, and ways to get involved.
We're not online anymore.
We're still here. All right. Well, that was really very nice. I'm thankful that we could do that. Thank you for just offering up a space to share words that I've gathered from our various elders, Wsaanich, and mostly grandmothers I've sat with, and have an opportunity to share them, and help people gain perspective. I think one of the main things is that we gain Indigenous perspective. It allows us Indigenous action, right? Yeah. So it's really nice.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you for reminding me in the call too. Like, I have a practice to speak to my ancestors, and I got a little like giddy, like overrun with extreme joy to remember that when I offer out, that the ancestors of the land are also going to be speaking with me.
Yeah.
Thank you for that teaching and handing that I can hold that a bit more when I'm praying and working.
Yeah, they want to help us. They want to help everybody. They don't want to. They're not shunning anybody. They're like, oh, if you honor us, we'll stand. We'll help you. We want to be in your lives, no matter who you are, because we're all family. All our people have always recognized everyone as family, and so when we honor them, then they're, oh, good, we're honored. They didn't forget. Now we can commune with them. We can have relation. Again, it always goes to relationship. They're like, yeah, now we can have a relationship. We'll have a relationship with them. We can help them, and then we'll work together. Yeah, important.
It's like we're still alive and still being heard. That's because this is such a beautiful conversation. These levels wanted to be shared as well.
Yeah, no problem.
Not on Facebook.
Okay, I think it'll close us all down.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Chiyokten.
Much
Maybe
better.
one day we can have you on again. You would come
Yeah. Let me know.
We would be humbled.
Yeah, that was very good. Thank you.
Yes, incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presence here with us. We invite you to join our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram channels for more of our videos, interviews, resources, and ways to get involved.